Have you ever wanted to just straight up copy something? Like, hey, I sculpted this. Now I want to make a plastic copy. You can do all that. Zoom out, be please. Hello and welcome to the Crafsman Show. My name is your host, Reginald Wallace Crafsman, the second Xavier Notorious Craft. Cut it out, no man. Here's our little guy we want to copy. This was sculpted in polymer clay. You can use Sculpey, Cos clay, Fimo, or anything as long as it's sulfur free. Now my molds are pretty simple. I just glue the part to the bottom of a container. Alright, and as for my silicone, my go-to is Moldstar 15 Slow. I've used this for more than 10 years now. It's an easy 1-to-1 ratio, which means I mix out the same amount part A to the same amount part B. And then we mix it. Try not to whip it, just smooth, steady. Scrape the center, scrape the bottom, rotate your cup around. I like to vacuum degas my silicone. Why come? Well, this is optional, but I find it gives me much less chance of bubbles in our final mold. Alright, this is always the fun part right here. And let's fill it up at least a ½ inch or so above our part so we have us a thick bottom, you know. And we're gonna let that sit for 4 hours. Here you go. I saved that part for y'all. Always fun to remove the leftover silicone, which we can reuse later. Stay tuned. For now, let's remove our original sculpt from the mold. I'm just work around, breaking the seal, and there we go. And if you've never made a silicone mold before, this is such a neat feeling right here, seeing a mold impression of your part. But not as neat as making a resin copy of our part. I ran out to the shop and found some leftover Smooth Cast 45D. This resin is a simple 1-to-1 A to B, but to the B side, I'm adding some black pigment. The dark colors should help us to see the surface quality better. Now Smooth Cast 45D cures in 30 minutes. So we ain't gotta wait very long. Boom shakalaka. We got a part. Now, observe. This resin cured glossy on top, okay? But watch. Our part, look at that, has a more dull finish, you see? Kindly satin looking, look. Why that is because our original sculpt, original part had a dull finish. And silicone captures that surface quality exactly. Here's one more example with some mica powder and resin. See, look how satin, and we want glossy, almost wet looking. But Crafsman, you can just spray coat it glossy. Come on. Well, you can do that, but we want to make a bunch of parts and we don't want to spray coat all of them. Why not just make one part glossy? What? Here's some uncoated clay sculpts. And here's some that have been spray coated. This final figure, made from silicone molds, is glossy because our original part was glossy. Well, this is the original Sculpey sculpt. Ooh, crumbled apart. But a good thing I pulled us a resin backup. Anyway, for today's video, I want to show you something cooler than spray coating. We're going to use a wax intermediate. This is some toy wax we made in a previous video. It's made up of carnauba, candelil, beeswax, paraffin, talc powder, and some Crayola crayons. This wax is based on the Scott Hensey toy wax, and I've enjoyed using it. And we're going to let that sit for a while. It's important to let the wax cool off completely. Trust me, I've tried to remove wax copies too early before, and then an arm or something breaks off inside. It's disheartening, so let it just cool off completely. So we have a wax copy, and it is matte, M-A-T-T-E, very matte. That's okay, because now we can put the polish on this mama jamma. I like wax because it takes a polish from so many things. To start out, I'm going to use some various of brushes here, different types. Now I'm using soft bristle, okay? Important to use something relatively soft. You don't want to use a very coarse brush, okay? But then you want to get hold of something like this right here, nylon mesh right here, nylon fabric, the stretchy stuff. Now that's going to really put the final polish on it. Now, we got some little fuzz and lint and stuff like that, but wax can be just sprayed off with the water hose or under the sink. And there we go. I got our bottom flattened on a belt sander so that we can glue it down to a lid. There we go. All right. Sometimes I make my molds this way, kind of backwards, but. And just like the first time, we're using Mold Star 15 Slow, and it's got a 4-hour cure time. All right. Now check this out. See the shine? Can you see it already? That specularity, that highlight. Let me adjust my camera exposure. And that brings us to the game-changing trick I want to show you today. With this glossy mold, what we're going to do is use it as a quote-unquote master mold, from which we are going to get a resin copy. I'm using Smoothcast 65D, which cures really fast. So we're not even going to put it in a pressure pot. We're just going to straight up use a toothpick to negotiate our air bubbles out. And within just a few minutes, our resin is already curing. Look at that. Uh-oh. Like that. And we're going to grease our mold with mold release. And get another copy. And another copy. And another copy. And another copy. And another copy. All these copies coming from the same one mold. Okay, very important. Maybe another copy. Alright, so now with these we can make what's called a gang mold. We're literally going to use all of our resin cast to make a monster mold, aka gang mold. Now normally I would have all my parts orientated the same direction, especially if casting parts vertically. And the reason you want them the same way is so that like bubbles might catch in the eye, so if you tilt it, they both tilt the same way, yeah, like that. But ours are gonna just be laying down. I also upsized our mold. This is the bottom I cut off of a 5-gallon bucket. This will allow us to get an extra figure right in the middle. Now I know what you might be thinking. Chris, man, that's a lot of silicone to fill up. Silicone's expensive, yes, but let me show you this trick. If you have a mold that you won't be using anymore, like this one, chop it up. chop it up, chop it into chunks. We can use these to fill out some of the bulk of our mold. Alright, so let's break it down. We took a matte clay sculpt, polymer clay sculpt, and made a mold and poured into that mold wax. Then from the wax, we polished it and made a quote-unquote master mold. From that mold, we pulled 10 copies, 9 or 10 copies in resin of the same exact part. And from that, we made our gang mold. Alright. I just want to reiterate, I know not everybody has coil wax. The simplest way to do it is just to take your part and spray coat it, okay? I just wanted to show you, I just personally like how wax polishes so easy, but just spray paint your part glossy, then make you a single mold from that, then from that make like a dozen or however many big your gang mold wants to be. This is high volume production techniques. And into this mold, Crafsman tried some new epoxy resin today. Let me show you that. My friend Gamey Builds, shout out to Gamey Builds. Check out his channel right there, very wonderful channel. Told me about this epoxy resin, T-Expert. I think these Chinese resins just use random names, but anyway, so once this cures, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the better part of 10 figures. All right, and here's one that I did not put in the pressure fire, and it's still, I had some chunks from my powder in it, and it's got some bubbles, but for no pressure pot, I like it. Major secret, major trick to make this work is to just keep on greasing your mold. And whatever excess, look, I dump it back into my container. I've had this same can for a long time, but it's kind of messy, but we want to coat this thing everywhere. The less it sticks to it, the longer this thing is going to last. Yeah. Did you enjoy this video? I really do hope so. And thank you for sticking all the way to the end of it, just about to the end of it. And I hope that you maybe picked up some helpful new techniques to level up your resin production. If you would like to see Steady Crafting continue, please consider supporting us on Patreon or Ko-fi. And thank you to the ones last video. Some of y'all sent some YouTube super thanks. That's kind of a new thing. We really appreciate that kind of stuff, as well as everybody who purchases stickers and items from our web store. All this stuff right here is how we keep it going, you know what I'm saying? So we are so very appreciative. Until next time, I love y'all, and keep on steady crafting. Zoom out, please. Yeah. Plus, I'm going to show you how to do some straight up gangbusters, bona fide, professional, high volume productions techniques. This is going to be a phenomenal time for all of us today. Please subscribe. I love y'all. Cut.